Hello and welcome, and today I'm going to show you how to install the Android developer tools in a much simpler way than before. Now the reason I'm making this video is because Google has very recently, like a couple of days ago, made it much easier to download and install the developer tools. Basically they've done this by combining a few steps you had to do before. Now it's all in one simple, relatively simple to do package. So what do we need? Let's go through our list here. We need the Java runtime environment, the JRE. Now you might or might not already have this on your computer. If you can run Java apps already, then you have it. I'll show you how to check that. And you need the Java development kit. Now because Android applications basically rely on a lot on Java, they use a lot of Java standard classes, and I believe it even uses the standard Java development kit to compile your application. So you need that, and you need the Android developer tools. So let's get started here. First thing you want to do, you want to make sure you have the Java runtime environment. So you're going to go to this URL. I'm going to give these URLs in the description of the video, so don't worry about that. Now, I highly recommend you open this first URL at least in Internet Explorer, because some other browsers, I think they try to block Java and things like that, so this test doesn't always go so well. Internet Explorer, I think, is the most reliable one to do this Java verification. So just click verify Java version. It's gonna spin, and for example, for me it has no working Java detected, so I need to install the JRE. Now as you can see, there's a download Java now button right here. You can simply do that, just click there and it will take you through a process of downloading first an installer, and then that installer, when you run that installer, it will go and fetch the JIE. I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to use another full download. You'll see. Okay, so JIE, we go to the Oracle website. Oracle are the makers of, the owners of Java. What you want is the JIE, so you're gonna go download there. You need to accept the license agreement, of course, and you need to find whichever flavor of Windows or whichever operating system you have. It doesn't have to be Windows. Whichever operating system you have. So for example, I have Windows 64 64-bit operating system. So if you're on Windows, I recommend you go with the exe, because this is the same thing. I think one is compressed, the other is just an straight installation package. So you should go with that one if you have a Windows 64-bit operating system. If you have a 86, I mean, sorry, 86, x86, a 32-bit operating system, that go for that one right there. This one is online. Also online, it will download this small package first, and then it will go and fetch. So whichever way you want to do it is fine. Right. So how do you know if you have a 64-bit or a 32-bit operating system? So on Windows, hold down the Windows key on your keyboard, and then press the pause button. The pause button is in the upper right somewhere on your keyboard probably, and this thing pops up, the system information. And for me, you see system type 64-bit operating system. So this is Windows 8. It doesn't really matter that much. It just happened to be Windows 8. I think you can do this installation all the way from XP to Windows 8. Windows 8, the full Windows 8, not the tablets, not the Windows RT. So you need the full Windows 8 with the desktop experience, not just, if you have just this in your Windows computer, then no, you need the one with the full desktop. Okay, you're gonna download that. I've already downloaded that, the JRE. So that's one thing of our list here. I'm gonna go find it. This is it right here, the JRE. Install. Nothing too tricky here, just go through the normal installation process. Yeah. Just I think defaults, better to stick to the defaults initially at least. Okay, so I'm gonna let this run and we'll see each other on the other side here. Oh, well, that was quick. Right, so I'm gonna restart the computer. I think I need to restart, and then it's okay. So I have restarted now. So the JRE should be installed. To if you want to verify that the JRE is properly installed, you can either use that website again, or a much better way I've found, because the website is tricky. It depends a lot on the settings in your browser, not just what's installed. So go to your start or whatever. If you're Windows 8, you shouldn't have a start, but you can install some, add-ons so it acts like a start button. Go to search, type cmd, find the command prompt, right click that, run as an administrator. You need to run it as administrator. So right click it and run as administrator. Now here type java the space version, and it will tell you which version of the Java runtime environment you have installed and so on. So you can see that was successful. So the next thing we need, as we said, is the Java development kit. And again, you just go to the same website. Again, the websites are in the description of the video. Download now the JDK. Same deal here, accept the license. Figure out which version of your operating system you need here. So for me, again, it was 64 bits. Download that. I have it here on my desktop. JDK. Gonna install that. Yep. Just stick with the defaults. Successfully installed. So that's that. And we're done. You can register. This is not necessary, not entirely necessary. So if you want to, you can. So you can receive nice emails from Oracle. Close that. Now the last thing you need is the Android SDK, or the Android Developer Tools Bundle, the ADT Bundle. So what the ADT Bundle, what they have done, is they've taken all of these things and put them into one package. So before they released this, you had to go download Eclipse, and then you had to download the Android SDK, and then you had to download one of the Android platforms if you wanted to run the emulator, and then you had to install the ADT plugin in Eclipse. So there was this couple of steps you had to go through. So now they've just combined it into one downloadable package. So you go to Android developer website, you find it under tools, downloads. Again, I'll put this link in in the, in the description. So I'm on Windows. I'm guessing that's why it's showing for Windows. So if you just read this, it doesn't say anything about Java. It doesn't say anything about JRE or JDK. So it can be a little confusing for some people, because you just think you can download this and then start running off and developing programs. Not true. You need the JRE and the JDK, and it is actually here in the requirements, hidden somewhere, but no one's going to find this. I don't know why they decided to put it in here, but anyway, download that. I have that already. There's an agreement, and again there's 32 and 64. Just make sure all your versions are the same bits. So if If you install Java 64, make sure it's 64 all through. And actually on a 64-bit operating system, you can install the 32-bit Java stuff. There's no problem, but you can't do the opposite, obviously. On a 32-bit operating system, you cannot install the 64-bit one. So just like that, download. I'm not gonna do that because I already have it. It's 400 megs. Don't want to go through that again. Okay, so these are the instructions. So all you actually need to do is take the bundle. So this is my bundle. It's a zip file, and unzip it somewhere. So I'm going to unzip it right here on the desktop. Maybe that's not the greatest idea, but it's fine. So on Windows, you should be able to just extract all, or if you're using some other third-party zipping tool, that's fine. I'm just gonna go extract all, leave the name like that, extract. It will take a little bit. Okay, sorry. Okay, so it is finished extracting finally. So this is the folder right here. All you need to do, according to Google, is go to the Eclipse folder and fire up Eclipse. You need to select a workspace. A workspace is where all of your projects will be saved. So just leave it as default if you don't have any other workspaces you want to do. And you can tick here. If you don't tick this, it will ask you every time you start it. So that's fine. You can contribute usage stats to Google. That's fine. And that should be it. So let's see if we can build a small simple hello world application. Gonna go file, new Android application project, application name, hello world. You need to give it a package name. Package name is usually this reverse DNS type thing. So hello world. This has to be, well, this is not a programming course, but this has to be globally unique if you want to upload it to the Android market or something like that. There has to be nothing else with this name, with this package name. So these don't have to be unique, but this one does. So that's why you usually use your domain name, because it's very unlikely that someone else will be using your domain name. So or use your own names, first name, last name dot project name. So the minimum you want, the minimum Android version you want your app to run on. I see Android are pushing 2.2 here. You can go lower if you want. The target, this is usually set to the highest, or I don't know why they chose 4.1 here instead of 4.2, but set this to the highest usually, and compile with, oh this is new, compile with new stuff going on here. Okay, theme holo, holo is the sort of new Android look that they're going for. Leave it at that. Create an activity, create a launcher icon. A launcher icon is the application icon on your phone. Create an activity. An activity is basically the view, like when you open an app, you're looking at an activity and then you click a button and it takes you to another view. So that's another activity. Anyway, Here basically they've included this sort of thing that can create the icons, and they are you know, you need different icons for different screen sizes, screen densities. So they've included this sort of tool. You can either choose one of the default. I'll just click that. Okay, so you can choose one of these. Okay, right. So I'm gonna leave it an image. You can also do text, so it will create an image from whatever you type in here. Leave it at this image. Of course, ideally you would create your own icon, and you know, before, at least before you launch it to the market. Right. So what type of activity you want to create? All type of good stuff. I'm gonna leave it a blank activity. Navigation type. So if you want to create one of those apps where you swipe side to side, or you have a drop down list in the action bar, just choose, I'm gonna choose none here. Finish that. Right, so that is our Android project right there. Now you see it's red for a bit. You just have to wait for everything to load up correctly. Loading data for Android, running Android lint. You see everything cleared up. That's good. If that happens, a lot of time that will not happen, and you have to go looking for errors. And also this is very useful, the clean function there. So if you see weird errors, go project clean. Also, you have sometimes you have to restart Eclipse. You know, it's all part of the fun. Right, so this is our application. So this is, we are looking at right now at the, see if we can increase this size here. We're looking at the layout of our application. So this is where we design the look basically. So it's a combination visual tool, and eventually you're gonna have to go into the actual code. So this code is what makes this app look like this. So eventually you have to go into the code, because this layout tool is not all that great. It has made great improvements recently, but still. So I'm gonna just drag this progress bar here. I'm not trying to create anything, I'm just, you know, spice it up a bit for no reason at all. So this is how you usually do it, and then you would go into your source code here, and you would wire your code to your layout. So you would basically connect this to whatever you want it to do in your application. So anyway, let's try running this. Let's first create an Android virtual device. So a virtual device is an emulator basically, so you can run your application on your computer without a phone. So this is useful for testing and such, and of course you can create a lot of different type of devices, way more than probably most of us can afford to buy. And then you can see how it looks on different layouts, screens, screen densities, and so on. Now the performance of these virtual devices is not great, so don't use it for performance. So always test it on a real phone to see how your application will actually work. So you just go new. I mean, this self-explanatory. Give it a name. I'm going to call it a Nexus. You can choose, now this is new, you can choose, they've included some very helpful, you know, actual devices. You can choose some. I'm going to choose the Nexus S here. Back in the day you have to sort of match it up yourself. Now we only have 4.2 because that's what the bundle comes with, but you can, I'll show you how to download additional versions of Android, because you obviously want to test all, maybe not all, that'll take forever, all of the versions of Android that your application supports. So here we have 4.2. I'll just choose 4.2. Front camera, I don't care about front camera. Back camera, the size of the SD card, I'm just gonna put 100 because I'm not doing really anything with the SD card. Now there are two options here. Host, use host GPU. So if you're, I think this is mainly for games. So you see if I put my mouse there, it shows the, what is it? Yeah, it shows the hardware open GLES simulation, so that it uses your graphics card to accelerate graphics. For normal applications, choose snapshot. This will help your virtual device start up a lot quicker because it can take quite a while to start. So what you do is you start it and then you don't close it. That's how you usually develop. You don't have to close it every time it starts. And the snapshot will help it start up a lot quicker. Basically, every time you shut it down, it will save the current state of the virtual device, and then the next time it will sort of resume from that state you left it. Right, so we've created a Nexus something. And I go start. See, there are a bunch of options. You can scale the size if you. Sometimes the emulator appears way too large for the screen, so you can play around with the scaling. You can wipe the data so it sort of becomes fresh, and the snapshot once again you can launch from the snapshot, or and also you can enable saving the snapshot. Do that. You see, like, this is the device sort of booting up right now. You can see it's a little too large for my screen. That's why you sometimes want to play with those scaling factors. Now this is actual Android code. It's not really an, I believe it's not technically an emulator. It is the actual Android code running on a computer. So that's why it's sometimes kind of slow, because it has to do a lot of weird conversion because of the different type of processors that exist on a phone, and the processor that exists on a PC are very different. So it has to sort of convert the code while it's running. That's why it can be quite slow. So I'm gonna wait for that to boot. I'm gonna close this, and while we're waiting, let me show you how to download other Android versions. So as you saw, we only had 4.2. So what you need to do is click this little Android here, Android SDK manager. Click him. The thing will fire up, and it will go and fetch information. So you see these start to populate. So if you see, we have 4.2. We have the SDK platform 4.2. If you scroll down, you see all the other versions of Android, all the way to 1.5. So if you want to test on any of these, you simply need to open it up and download the SDK platform at least. So these other things are kind of optional, but I would just if internet is not an issue for you, just click on that, check it, download whichever ones you want to develop for. I'm not going to do that here because it takes quite a while, and these are heavy downloads sort of. There's also some extras, so if you want to develop, to put ads in your application, you can download the AdMob SDK, the Analytics SDK. I believe Maps should also be here somewhere, but I don't see it. Anyway, I think Google APIs is the Maps service if you want to develop an application which includes Google Maps. Anyway, that's fine. Let's see where, see, it's still booting up, and I'll continue when that starts. Right, so still going. While it's going, one more thing. You're going to want to periodically check for updates to both the Android SDK and tools, and to the Android Developer Tools plugin, which is installed in this Eclipse thing. So let me just show you that. Check for new Android SDK. Just go to the SDK manager over here like we did before, and it will pull up what the latest versions here. So if there's an update available, you will see here, instead of installed, it will say, you know, new version or update available, and then you just basically tick the ones you want to update, and there will be like an, you know, install packages here right here, and it will install those. And then after you do that, you have to update the ADT plugin. So these two go together because you need the appropriate version of the SDK with the appropriate version of the ADT plugin. Otherwise, they sort of don't work correctly together. So what you want to do what you want to do with that is go to help, check for updates, and it will go off to the internet and see if there are newer versions of all the Eclipse plugins that have been installed. So ADT is one of them. So to go off to Google and see what's going on here. So for example, right now it found nothing because, well, this is brand new. I just downloaded it from Google yesterday, so no updates. But that's the process you have to do. So every couple of weeks I would do that, or if you hear there's a new version or something. But with the updates, beware. The updates will break some of your code, basically, or your projects will break sometimes because Google goes and changes the way this thing works. So all of a sudden you find that your projects don't work, and then you have to start. So you might want to maybe delay a bit, so you know, so you can find help out there, because if you're the first one of the first people to install, then you have to deal with these new problems. So sometimes it's good to delay. uh, by that time, everybody has already dealt with the problem, the solutions are known, and you can sort of, it's easier to find help. And also, if you are working on something and you have a deadline, I wouldn't install anything new. So don't tempt fate. Okay, so our little emulator is started. So it's just like a real phone. Just gonna skip everything here. You see it's Nexus. I can swipe sort of back and forth. Pretend Nexus. Okay. Let me see if I can go to the apps. Now we haven't installed the application yet, obviously, but there are a bunch of. See, you can see it's kind of slow already. It's like, oh, that's very good. Okay. What we want to do is launch our application. So the way I usually do this is find my project here. So I have the project Hello World. Right click that, run as Android application. So I've clicked run as Android application. It gives you an option here to see basically the log messages coming from the app. I'm just gonna leave it at yes, and you'll see this is the log right here. So these are all the log messages coming from the virtual device right now. If you go back to the device, you can see that our app is running. This is the spinning thing here. It doesn't currently do anything, but oh, it kind of does that. But yeah, not the most useful app, but you can see that our application is deployed to the phone. And if I go to the applications list here, you should see it in here somewhere. Where is it? Aha, hello world right there. See. Well, so that's about it. So I'm gonna shut this down. Right, so one more tip, I guess, one or two more tips. You can pin this. Oh, I can pin this. That's weird. That's very weird. Anyway, could pin this in Windows 7. I don't know. Anyway, that's about it. Close this. Exit ADT. They're even calling it ADT now. It's no longer Eclipse even. but this is Eclipse that just rebranded for Google. Anyway, go to the folder. You can of course create a shortcut here on your desktop. You can also move this shortcut and pin it like that. And I also highly recommend you right click if you're on Windows 7 or Windows 8 or Windows Vista. What you want to do is always run this as admin, because I've run into some errors in Eclipse which turned up to be because I'm not running as admin. So to do that, go right click, go to the properties, security, not security, what is it? Compatibility, and run this program as administrator, and then it will always run as admin. And you know, when you launch it, it'll ask you, it will give you that user account thing. Yes, and then okay, so that's about it. Good luck, happy coding.